Welcome to another edition of the 49er Goldcast.
San Francisco, are you ready? Boom! I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
And our Los Angeles co-host,
Louis Bartone.
Ooh, Bartone strikes back. Welcome back.
The Bartone strikes back.
Here we go. Final game of the first week of regular season NFL. Los Angeles Rams at San Francisco 49ers. Final score, Rams 0, 49ers 28. So let's start with the good. Ray, what did you think? Holy shit, what an ass whooping. Let's go through.
Okay. Rams at the 49ers week 1, opening day of the regular season, opening Monday night, the second game of a doubleheader. Pittsburgh Steelers blow out the Redskins. Would it be the same case in San Francisco? Technically Santa Clara. All right, moving on to the first quarter. Fourth series for the Rams, second possession of the game, 3rd and 8. Keenum from the gun takes the snap. Ahmad, Brooks, and Armstead pressuring the right. Keenum tucks the ball and is sacked by Brooks on the stunt play. Rams would end up punting. Niners second possession of the first quarter, 10th play of the drive, 2nd and goal. Gabbert out of the shotgun. Hyde to his left. Hands off to Hyde. Stutter step. Bursts up the middle into the end zone for the touchdown. Point after is good. 49ers take an early lead, 7-0. Moving on to the second quarter. First possession for the Rams. 6th play of their drive. 1st and 10. Keenum taking it from the shotgun snap. Looks to throw. Tipped by Quentin Dial. Ball's in the air. And intercepted by Navarro Bowman. Turnover by the 49ers defense, who would be the big story of the night. Ensuing drive by the Niners. 4th and 6 on the Rams' 41-yard line. Kelly going for it. Second attempt on 4th down by San Francisco. Gabbert takes a snap. Has time. Looks. Throws. Finds Curley, who makes a diving catch. Good for 18 yards in the first down. Same drive, 4 plays later. 1st and goal. Gabbert from the gun again. Hands off to Drone, middle, gets plugged. Drone bounces outside, speeds past the defender, and into the end zone for the touchdown. Point after is good from Dawson. 14-0, all San Francisco. Third quarter, both teams would go scoreless. Niners would continue to clamp the Rams, but their defense would make adjustments too. But it would not last into the fourth. Niners would take a drive into the final quarter of the game. 11th play of a long drive. 3rd and goal. Gabbert running the no-huddle all night long. From the gun. Steps back. Looks. Throws. Hits Vance McDonald for an 8-yard touchdown pass. Niners dominating 21-0. Next possession for the 49ers. 11th play in another long drive. 2nd and goal. Gabbert out of the no-huddle. Hands off to Hyde. Takes the ball. Shifts right through the hole and into the end zone, which would cap the night on a dominating blowout by the San Francisco 49ers and Chip Kelly's big debut. Also Gabbert's starting debut and Jim O'Neill's starting debut to go along with the entire new 49ers coaching staff. I'm going to say, originally when I called this game, I called it to be 24-17 from the Goldcast Twitter page. That was pinned. I need to unpin it now. And I thought the X factor would be Chip Kelly, which to a degree it was, but the bigger X factor was two things: the 49ers running game, and more importantly, the 49ers defense, who I figured would be better, but I didn't know that they would be this good coming out of the gate. They even looked better than they did last year against the Minnesota Vikings in that Monday night opener. So that was the big story for me. Huge. I mean, let's be honest. The Rams' passing game has always been a little bit lacking, so they looked the Niners secondary is going to look a little extra good against this passing attack, so I'd like to see them get tested, which they will against Cam Newton next week. But for now, let's give credit where credit's due. 2 picks, 2 sacks. Gurley was stuffed all night pretty much, and he was frustrated along with the rest of the Rams team. That's always got to be a frustrating dagger to swallow. And Louie, I know you're not happy about it. Brother, I know you're as excited as me. But that's what I saw. That was the big story out of this game.
So it is. So here's the question, Ray, for you, and then I'm going to toss it to Louie. So here's the question, though. Is the big story that the Rams offense is horrible or the San Francisco defense is just that good? Where's the story?
I think it's a combination of the two, but considering where
Agreed.
the Niners were last year, I think you have to give the edge to the Niners defense because...
I mean, they were swarming.
Right, but we're also coming into this game expecting a really strong running game from Todd Gurley and the Rams offensive line, which they thought was going to be the lead. They thought it was going to be a Hyde Gurley matchup. That's what it was going to be tonight. And
True.
To be honest, that's what it was for the Niners offense. The running game set up the pass and led the pass more so than the passing did for the offense. And in the Rams case, the Niners defense just kept stacking the box, and when they weren't stacking the box, they were closing in on Gurley with a lot more speed than we saw last year. It was a well-disciplined unit. It was a fast unit. It was an aggressive unit. It was a blitzing unit, and I'm not sure if the Rams offense ever had an answer or an adjustment to really mix it up and give some different looks to this defense. To be honest, I saw some odd looks on the defensive side of the ball more so than I did offensively. Weird looks where there was one where Eric Armstead was standing up like an outside linebacker, but he was playing inside, and then they had Ray Armstrong playing on the outside, playing a defensive end. He was lined up in the same defensive end technique. Just some interesting little things here and there. But I do think it's a combination of the two because Casey Keenum is not a prolific thrower. This is a team that will rely on Gurley for a majority of the season, and 17 attempts for 47 yards is not going to get it done. You're not going to set up the pass if you do that. So, but the Niners force the Rams to do the game plan is very simple. If you stop Gurley, you force the Rams to be one-dimensional and say, "Hey, beat us in the air if you can, and let's see how good you do." And Casey Keenum could not make the throws, and when he did, the secondary was all over it.
Boom. All right, so there it is. So Louis Bartone, our resident Los Angeles Rams fan, let's hear your perspective on this game because clearly, okay, so we sent out earlier today, we sent out our predictions. You predicted the Rams to win. They have lost. In fact, they got shut out. I mean, complete opposite of your prediction. I want to hear your perspective on the game.
Thank God that you guys told me that it was a complete opposite of my prediction because I had no idea until this very moment that by being shut out, that was the opposite of my prediction. You guys, I cannot explain enough how utterly salty and irked I really am, and I've never said those two words in the same sentence together. I just said that tonight because I am so unbelievably frustrated, you guys. 28-0, the first shutout for the Rams since 2011. Since 2011.
Ooh, 5 years.
Like, that's, you guys, 5 years.
Wasn't it 09? I thought it was
No,
09.
that was the first week one shutout. The first overall shutout has been since 2011. That was the first one since 2011. It was last time, week 16, 2011. The stat came up after you had walked away. Yeah, so 2011 was the last time we were shut out. So, you guys, here's the biggest issue, you guys. Oh my God, you guys. I can't argue anything you're saying because my team sucks. You guys, that's the problem is I can't argue any of these points. We looked terrible on offense. We looked undisciplined on defense. Our special teams, where we normally actually have an advantage because a Jeff Fisher team, that's really the only advantage you can have under Jeff Fisher is to have an advantage in the special teams for some unknown reason. That was our advantage.
Hold on. You have some guy against the Seattle Seahawks waving fair catch, but the ball's on the opposite side of the field. I mean, that's not really what happened.
Right. This week, no one fell for it apparently because we couldn't put up a point, you guys, a point. Here's the thing. In the fourth quarter, when we were there with the last 3 minutes, I told everyone in the room, I was like, we should kick a field goal here. Just take the points. This is pure pride. Take the points. It's 4th and 10. What is to be gained by going for it? We've seen what this offense is capable of. And what did they do? They went for it, and Case Keenum threw another interception. You guys, this offense, I'm telling you right now, people are like, oh, it's week one. That is the ceiling for our offense. Because here's what every team is going to do against Los Angeles this year. They're going to put 8 in the box. They're going to put 9 in the box. And they're going to say exactly what Raymond, what you said. They're going to dare Case Keenum to throw on them. And clearly he's not going to be able to, partially because of a terrible offensive line, partially because he's not a good quarterback, and the other part is because there's no offensive. Kenny Britt and Tavon Austin are our best receivers. Like, that is garbage, man. That's not good. We don't have a strong tight end. We don't have a strong, anything. They're going to stack the box, and they're going to take Todd Gurley away like they did tonight, and they're going to force Case Keenum to throw. And it's not going to work. My prediction is by week 4 to 5, Sean Mannion comes in. I don't think Jared Goff sees the field this entire year. Sean Mannion, I got to remind people, was a third-round pick last year. He was good. I liked him this preseason. He had a really good preseason. I think he's the best bet. He sat for a year. He was just really quiet, patient guy. I think he's going to start. Is that going to save us? No. And let me get to what I know you guys are addressed. That will not save our season. You guys, I don't think people understand how much I retract all my previous predictions. You know, Goldcast Nation. You know that predictions episode we released today? I'm out. I'm done with it. The Rams are going to finish 4th in the NFC West. There's no question. And you could say that I'm overreacting. I'm not, because that is the ceiling for our offense. Our defense may improve. If we're lucky, the defensive line will improve. Our secondary is very weak. Our line, it will improve. I think that was just a weird game. Aaron Donald lost his cool, which I have not seen in his 3-year career.
I felt like the frustration was evident kind of early on in the game.
Super early on.
Prematurely, to the point where it's like, hey guys, just buckle down a little bit. And then I thought, okay, maybe this might change because the third quarter the Niners got shut out. And so I was like, okay, maybe, and it was still a 2-point game, a 2-score game at this point in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, maybe something might change. And then, turnovers, and it just the defense never let up on the other end. So,
and here's the thing, and I agree with that 100%, because here's the problem is that we were super undisciplined, and I was like, okay, we're just coming off too hot, we're coming off too hard. It would just take a breather. And then halftime came out, and we were shutting you guys out. I was like, great, our offense will catch on at one point. I think we'll be fine. And then obviously they never did. Seeing as how I don't know. Let me just check with this. 28-0. That's really all you need to know, that we didn't do anything. We had under 200 total yards. Case Keenum, you guys. Case Keenum had 17 completions for 130 yards. That is a talent. You need to be talented to complete the ball 17 times and not break at least 150. I'm telling you, this team, I think I've never had a less amount of confidence in the Rams. I've been a Rams fan for almost 15 years. Never had less confidence in a team coming into the season than I do right now. And that's coming straight. That's a hot take coming from a die-hard. I'm currently wearing a throwback Rams jersey, Goldcast Nation. I'm in a Rams jersey right now, and I won't take it off. But God damn it,
who is
I
it?
have never been this.
Warner.
Oh, it's a
Holt?
personal one. It's my last name. It's so I can feel like I was a good football player in high school. literally, I've never been this. I've never had a lesser amount of confidence in a team. We're going to be the last in NFC West. We're not going to be very good.
Okay. So hold that thought. Here's one thing I want to address, and Ray, I'm going to throw it right back to you. Let's talk about the third quarter and just how terrible both offenses look. Now, I have to admit, the running game really set up the first half of the game, and then in the fourth quarter, Blaine really kind of opened it up with some pretty risky passes, like some pretty wild passes.
He did, but he was inconsistent all night.
All night.
He was
now, real quick,
about the offense, because
I do.
The third quarter was a mess for both teams. It was just a mess.
I do have to throw this in real fast, just because it's literally my final point, because it's a throwback to what we were talking about. I think tonight's game is what Raymond said, a combination of the two things of what does the deciding factor go to? Are the Rams really bad, or are the Niners really good? It's middle ground. I think the Rams were terrible tonight. I think we minorly improved. I think the Niners played the way they should have played against a terrible team. But I think when the Niners play against even
Carolina,
even half, and
Seattle.
even the half, the average, the good to great teams in the league, maybe the Carolinas, the Minnesotas, the Arizonas, even honestly the Oaklands, with all due respect, I think the Oaklands, I think against those type of teams, I don't think they have a chance, because this offense this defense played the way they should have against this terrible offense. So that was I meant to say that point earlier. I just had to get that out. I think it was a middle of the pack thing.
Well, just like we said, the Niners' game plan was to stuff Gurley and force Keenum to throw, and to see if
and it worked,
and have him challenge the secondary, and it totally worked. So here's the thing, though. Mm-hmm. Conversely, that's exactly what the other teams are going to be thinking about for us. They're like, okay, well, look at Gabbert. I mean, Gabbert had some good throws, and he kind of woke up, but there was so many throws that he couldn't make.
Three dropped interceptions.
Where it wasn't
Three dropped interceptions.
It's not like it's like there was no pressure. It's not like he had a guy in his face or a guy swatting him or something like that. He just literally just made bad throws, like easy throws, and that was concerning to me because that was happening far too consistently throughout this game. And then finally he woke up in the fourth quarter and started to make throws and put together that final couple drives he did, where he actually looked more like a competent receiver. I don't know if it's like if it was first game jitters, Monday night, national spotlight, perhaps that had something to do with it. I mean, who knows? I mean, he's been in the league long enough where you expect him to kind of get over that, but it still happened regardless. But here's the thing. This is what teams are going to do. They're going to say, okay, let's just plug Hyde and stack the box, because that's exactly what Carolina's going to do, and force Gabbert to beat him in the air and see how good he does. I don't necessarily – I think Carolina is their front seven's better than their secondary, so there might be something that Torrey Smith has to have a big game. I don't want to see him doing crossing routes. I think they need to give him the deep routes. Torrey Smith is great north and south. Yes. He's not so good east and west. That he's kind of limited in that he's not like a Jerry Rice who can run any route blindfolded with the arm and on a leg tied behind his back.
But nobody's Jerry Rice. I mean, that's like Michael Jordan.
Yes, I mean, but even Calvin Johnson, he can run any route. Antonio Brown can run any route.
Antonio Brown. Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr. can do it too. But Torrey Smith is probably one of the better post route runners and deep route runners. Mm-hmm. But if you give him a crossing route or like a button hook or something like that, he's not so good at that. He's just like pure speed. So you just have to give him that north and south stuff. I know they're trying to mix it up with him, but I don't necessarily think that the line of scrimmage laterals or the crossing routes, the one I saw where he dropped it. I don't know how he dropped it or why he dropped it, but he did. But that's what they're going to do. So until the Niners are going to have to figure it out fast, Gabbert's not going to have a whole lot of time to adjust, because Carolina's not only going to stack the box to stop the run, but they're going to be in his face pressure-wise too. So we'll see it. I mean, if the Niners defense does the same thing and it just becomes a back and forth battle, then we'll know that the Niners are real for real. I mean, because last year they came out and beat up the Vikings, and we all thought, oh man, this is going to be great. They're going to be better than they thought, and then they put up stinkers, left and right from pretty much then on out.
And here's the thing: I think a lot of it, and this comes from being a Niners fan. I think a lot of it is the fact that everyone wants to blame it on Tom Sula, and I understand that, and I think this defense has improved. But you guys have not a lot of options. Your guys' number 2 receiver is Quentin Patton, or whatever his name is. I don't even know his name.
That's how right.
Much. Oh, okay, good deal. Then Quentin Patton. I guessed it and I got it right. That's how random this guy is, and he's your number 2. Like that's your guys' number 2. I think a lot of it comes where your guys. The Rams, as bad as the Rams are, we really are going to be duking out for 3rd and 4th. We're still going to take 4th place, but we're going to be duking it out. Like the Niners, I think I really don't see much going on here. This is going to be a quiet, very quiet team this season. I think, honestly, because again, like you just said, last year when they came out against Minnesota, man, Carlos Hyde was the top running back. Colin Kaepernick looked great. He looked steady in the pocket. Their defense was strong, and that was against a team that is now a Super Bowl contender this season. And I mean, and that was awesome. I thought that was really cool. They did that, and then they come out and, like you just said, stink it up the rest of the season. So this year they come out in the exact same way against the Los Angeles Rams, who obviously are going to be way worse than Minnesota was last year, and they pull kind of a similar game. Niners won 20-3 last year in the opener against Minnesota. They won 28-0 tonight. That's a better score, but it's not like they put up 43 points. I mean, this team, they capitalized on what they could get because our offense couldn't move the ball to save their lives. I think that's a huge
not
thing.
Only that though, but your defense did nothing. I mean,
couldn't stop. We couldn't get any pressure. No pressure and no secondary. Yeah.
So that's a credit to the
point.
improved offensive line. I mean, Trent Brown
Very true.
stuffed Donald all night long, and I thought
They double teamed him
I
all
kept
night.
I kept thinking like he's going to get at least one sack. He's going to get at least one sack. It's going to come at some point, and it just never happened. And then he got ejected before he got his last shots at it.
Well, let's remember this too, though. Let's remember this. This is the same offensive line that allowed more sacks than any other offensive line in all of football.
In the last 2 years, over 50 sacks, over 100 sacks.
Wow.
2 years.
And none today. None at all.
It's a good sign. It's not a bad sign.
No, it's not at all. So let me ask you guys a question. Let's go back to the third quarter, though. Let's go back to the third quarter because that was, let's be honest, that was garbage time offense.
Terrible.
I thought the Rams were going to get back into it at that point.
Same here.
I did too.
I thought it
comes. It was awful. It was horrible. So let's go back to this. Is that a sign of awesome D's or really bad offense? Because to me, it kind of looked like really bad offense from both teams.
I think again it was a mixture of the two, especially on the Niners side, because drives were stifled not necessarily by like pressure. But they were forcing Gabbert to throw, and when he was throwing, he just wasn't making throws. They were behind a receiver, or he almost. I mean, how many times did he throw a ball that almost got picked off by the Rams? I'd say at least three times.
Three.
I know the exact number because I watched them all three happen. Three times.
Yeah. I only know because I sat right next to Lewie.
And here's
for
the
whole
thing
game.
and I thought that was going to happen because I mean you did lose a secondary man in the offseason.
You're right.
Who had 3 picks, but you retained the guy who was covering Torrey Smith, who had 7 picks, had more than double the amount of picks of the guy you lost last year in the offseason. So I thought they still have their most formidable cornerback out there, and I thought at some point,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just thought that at some point, if Gabbert keeps making throws like this, not only is the clock going to be ticking for his job, but he's going to turn the ball over.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is that, like you just said, the guy that was covering Torrey Smith. I mean, what did Torrey Smith really even do? What did Torrey Smith do against that? Against the corner, and that's because again, I like. We're talking about Tremaine Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tremaine Johnson is fantastic. And that's the thing. He's a really good cornerback. I think that's why for some reason we felt comfortable dropping Janoris Jenkins. I wasn't a fan of Janoris.
Well, Janoris Jenkins, I mean, sure, he led the league in pick sixes. He only had 3 picks, so all 3 of his picks happened to be pick sixes. But he also led the league in big passing plays because he was always looking for that big interception play, and that was his fault. So he was trying to make the big play to a fault, but you let him go. Rather than kind of work with them, I think there was kind of more upside to work with them. That's just my opinion. When a guy has that kind of talent, that's kind of like Deion Sanders territory when you're returning picks as often as he was. I mean, 3 times in one season is pretty rare.
Right.
But at the same time, you kept Tremaine Johnson, and you also have Tim McDonald, who, by the way, is the son of the famous 49er McDonald, too.
Oh, yeah.
Who's actually a really good player. Really good player.
I love TJ McDonald.
So
and EJ Gaines is a very good cornerback. He comes. I'm probably wrong on this, but I think he comes from Auburn. He comes from some sort of SEC. He was a really good rookie 2 years ago. Last year he was riddled with injuries. I think this year he started. This year he's on the IR. I think not the IR, but he was out this game. When he comes back, I think that's why we felt confident letting go of Janoris because we have Tremaine Johnson and EJ Gaines. They're 2 pretty solid, steady cornerbacks. TJ McDonald's a safety. Mark Barron as that kind of not Tyrann Mathieu. I can't think of his name on the Cardinals, but a kind of like a linebacker / safety hybrid that he's playing with Mark Barron.
But you know what I saw that I felt like it was a big difference, and I know that a lot of the Rams fans out there, if they're listening, they're going to agree with this. I saw the lack of James Laurinaitis' tackling ability show its face tonight because that's up the middle, and that guy is a tackling machine.
And that's the one thing that I didn't get to say in the last podcast is that honestly, I didn't mind any of our releases this season besides Laurinaitis. He was the one release that I thought that we really messed up on because again, he not only was he a tackling machine, he was the lifeblood of that defense. Chris Long missed I think the number was higher, but I know he missed.
He went to 4 Pro Bowls, but the last 2 years he
missed 20 plus games the last 2 seasons. Yeah, he was out completely.
Hold on. Let's talk the flip side. Raymond, name the 4 players that you thought really hurt the Rams defense. The 4 players they cut.
Well, it was 3. It was
3.
It was Janoris Jenkins, James Laurinaitis, and Chris Long. Although to be honest, Chris Long had been injured the previous 2 years and hadn't gone to a Pro Bowl in 3 years. But he was a 4-time Pro Bowler before that. But James Laurinaitis was the inside man. He was like their Navarro Bowman.
He honestly was their word. He was their biggest loss on the after seeing it now. Yeah, because Alec Ogletree is now dependent on being the guy, and he's just not, man. He's not a tackling. He's a really good coverage linebacker. He was all over. He had one of the missed interceptions. He's a really good coverage because he was a safety at Georgia. He's a really good coverage linebacker. Exactly. He's just not. He's not the Laurinaitis tackling linebacker that I think
he did. He did lead your team in tackles tonight with 11. He actually led all defenders on both teams with 11 tackles. That's awesome. So it's great at the same time, but for every play that he didn't get, I mean, those were the plays that were gashing.
Points,
right, those are the plays that were gashing you guys for 15 yards here, 16 yards here, and then of course 4 scores.
And 4 scores.
Okay, so here's the next question.
Which feels better every time we say
it. So here's the next question. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw it to you first, Lewie. Here's the next question. 3 drop picks. Where, as a Rams fan, do you see Gabbert? Honestly, just honestly looking at him where he's at. Where do you see Gabbert? 3 dropped interceptions that could have been caught, maybe changed the whole course of the game. Where do you see Gabbert?
I still see Gabbert as honestly, I still see Gabbert as a better choice than Colin Kaepernick. I could totally see Colin Kaepernick coming in later on the season and making me look like a fool for saying that and having a good season. But honestly, I think he's a better choice than Kaepernick. I think, you know what it is? I really, really think Kaepernick is kind of a worse second coming of Alex Smith. I think he is a game.
That's a hot take.
He's a worse second coming. So I'm not saying he's going to put up with Alex Smith, but he's a worse second coming.
Hold on, break that down. Break that down.
Yeah, I'd love to. How I see Blaine Gabbert is he again, how many deep shots? I would love to pull up the stat for how many deep shots this guy took. I didn't see him throw the ball farther than 20 yards once tonight, and he has, like our co-host Raymond says, one of the best deep threats in the league, and he did not even look to his way. I understand he was going against Jermaine Johnson. He didn't even look his way. He's not. He is a game manager to the nines, and he's not as good of a game manager as Alex Smith, which is why I compare him to a worse second coming of Alex Smith. He's a game manager, but he's not as good. So that's where I see him, is that he's gonna cost.
Well, Alex Smith has double the amount of experience, has playoff wins under his belt, has really come into his own, not only through the Harbaugh era, but over there with Andy Reid, who's also a quarterback guru coach himself, despite not ever having a Super Bowl win under his belt, But I understand the comparison you're making. But Alex Smith has better footwork. He has better eyes. Doesn't have a better arm. Has almost as good as legs, and he showed that last week, winning in overtime in San Diego with that rushing touchdown.
I hope I'm not wording this wrong. That's my exact point. He's a worse. He's the next. He is the second coming of Alex Smith, but he's worse. That's what I'm saying about Blaine Gabbert. He is your guys' version of Alex Smith. He's just not as good. I totally agree with that. He's not. I don't think he is. He's not going to air it out. He may air it out once in the next couple of weeks, but he's going to be exploited when you guys face a team like Carolina that has Cam Newton that will exploit your defense. When you guys face a team like Arizona who will exploit your team. When you guys face a team like Seattle, who, yes, as much as that was a terrible game against Miami, who none of us believe in this year, even against Seattle, you guys, if you guys face a team that has weapons on the offensive side, Blaine Gabbert's going to be exposed, and I think that's the game.
I wonder if Seattle's offense is mediocre this year, or is Miami's defense that much better?
I'm going to go with the latter, because the addition of Mario Williams. That's my main point. Mario Williams. This is a prove it year for him. And although he left the game with a minor injury so far, I think he was the main thing. He was getting a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson.
But Seahawks offense has always been suspect. The offensive line, Russell Wilson, their inability to incorporate any wide receivers or tight ends into the offense outside of Marshawn Lynch's for running. I mean, like that's always been suspect on the Seahawks side.
Not to mention they start every year. It seems to be so slow, man. They start every year just not looking their way, and then around week 8, week 9, they just turn it on, man.
Well, I mean, Russell Wilson's crying like in front of a candle. It's like this whole thing. It's this whole thing.
Oh man!
Literally crying in front of a candle. It's like a whole thing.
I don't mind him crying.
Yeah, I really do. Okay, next up for the 49ers is Niners at Carolina. Oh man.
Oof.
Ouch.
Oof.
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 10 o'clock game. This is a team that struggled on the road last year, did not pack their defense. I don't expect Carolina to blow them out, but I don't exactly expect the 49ers offense to shut out Cam Newton nor put up 28 points.
Who wins?
Well, if we go back to the predictions, I still stay on Carolina's bandwagon this year.
Yeah, Carolina.
They played
Carolina.
Denver really well. I mean, to be perfectly honest, Denver's offense is no more better than ours. So
I can see that.
I'd be so. Here's the
my
thing:
God.
if that's any indication, then we've got a fighting chance. It just depends on how well we can hold Cam defensively.
And
So,
that's
but I
easier
still
said than
take Carolina here. In
That's
fact, I'm going to say
much easier said than done.
I think
done.
this
So far,
one's
Denver's
more.
the
I think
only
this one
team
becomes.
to figuring them out.
I'm sorry.
I said Denver's the only team to figure them out.
That's because they
So
beat him at the high. They have a psychological advantage over them at this point, and that clearly showed last Sunday.
They love helmet-to-helmet tackles. That's part of it too.
They love it, man. I can't believe they didn't get one penalty or a fine on that one, man. That was he got hit to the head a lot.
Any
I'm shocked
other
to hear.
game, if you even look at the quarterback's helmet, there's a flag. I mean, like if you even blow a breath, if you go.
I've literally seen plays where a defender put a shoulder pad into a quarterback's helmet and they called helmet to helmet. I mean, it's clear on the replay it was a shoulder pad. Meanwhile, TJ Ward literally, and I'm not saying it was on purpose, but literally TJ Ward drove his helmet into Cam Newton's side of his head, man. Cam Newton's helmet went across his face, and there was not a penalty. It is insane, man.
I'll tell you one. The last time we played the Saints, that last sack, which was complete shoulder to shoulder, which they called.
I remember that.
God.
I remember that. That's the infamous 49ers call.
Oh, that just pissed me off.
Everyone
We
pissed everyone
had
off.
that game. Oh, that just pissed me off. I can tell you an exact game. Literally cost us the game. That stupid ass play.
That's
All right,
fair.
gentlemen. So we got 1 minute left. So real quick before we end this up, so I have to call out one of my all-time idols, Bill Simmons. I was listening to one of his last podcasts, NFL Preview. He was talking about Rams versus 49ers on Monday night, and he said he did not believe in the 49ers because, A, they lost their two best defensive players. One was out for a month. The other was out for a year. Who's out for a year?
I think he's referring to Ian Williams, if I had to guess.
That's your guys' best defender?
In
Yeah.
his mind, apparently.
In his mind, apparently.
So I had to send him a tweet, and I had to call him out on it and be like, Navarro Bowman's doing just fine. Thank you, sir. And I said, I wasn't
Didn't
rude.
you even include Navarro Bowman in that tweet?
I did. I included Navarro Bowman. I was like, at Navarro Bowman is doing just fine. And I was cool. I wasn't a dick. But here's the thing about Navarro Bowman. He tore his ACL against the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship.
ACL and his MCL.
Oh,
He tore both.
And his ACL.
brutal injury.
And you know what happened when
Brutal injury.
after the game? He literally, his leg was on the floor. He picked it up. He stapled it back to his knee, and then drank
I
like.
remember watching that. It hurt so bad.
For like a
It
year.
hurt me.
Oh yeah, like he came back a year later. It was like basically like a crutch, like the stick of a crutch. It was just stapled to his knee in a cleat, and then he basically led the NFL in most tackles for most of the season.
Oh my God! What I mean,
He led the tackles. He led the tackle. He finished the league. He finished the year with leading the league in tackles. Yeah, he went to the Pro Bowl.
He did.
He didn't necessarily have the coverage skills he used to have, but that was a given. But the fact that he could still stuff the run like he used to, and ended up beating out every other defender in the league
on one leg.
I really, really hate agreeing with the Niner points tonight, but yeah, that's Navarro Bowman's a beast, man. I can't deny that. I know greatness when I see it.
Louis, he led the game, led the Niners in most tackles even tonight.
He did.
I'm
7
not
tackles, 2
surprised.
assists, 1 interception.
Hey, but that Alec Ogletree,
tackles.
guys, 11 tackles for Alec Ogletree on that
true.
shutout side, guys. That's one victory I can have tonight.
On that shutout side.
We'll
God
give you that one.
damn it. Damn it, Goldcast Nation. God damn it.
49er faithful. Here we go. Raymond, where can they find us?
You can find us and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/49ersGoldcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at 49ersGoldcast. You can also subscribe to us via iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube to be on top of the latest and greatest episodes as they become live.
Boom. Ray, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ray Solis, and that's about it.
There you go. Louis, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at actuallyLouisB.
There it is. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Rudy Solis 3rd, Rudy Solis 3RD. That is it. So concludes another edition of the 49er Goldcast. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis first, baby.
and our Los Angeles co-host,
Louis Bartone.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same Goldcast time, same Goldcast channel. And we are.
Good shit, fellas.